Hey there! You want to learn to read music on your bass. This is fantastic because I want to help you learn to read music on your bass. I mean, come on, what are the odds, right? This is my second video in my series on reading music for bass players. So if you're lost or you need to go over something again, check on the playlist down below and you can go back and review as needed. In the previous video, we focused on notes on the E string, as well as quarter notes, half note rhythms, and a handful of other details that are pertaining to reading music. In this video, we'll be focused on the A string, as well as introducing the whole note rhythm, the eighth note rhythm, and we're not going to just count them, but we're going to learn to feel them, and I talked about this in the previous video. This will introduce two completely new levels of rhythms that go beyond the basic beat. We'll also take a deeper look at how the staff actually works and start to memorize some of the notes there. And just like last time, we're going to keep this light and fun, and we're going to get you playing your bass right away. But before we get started, I have a quick list of stuff I have to get to, so please subscribe as always and leave a comment about why you're here, because I want to know. Also, be sure to visit my free downloads page linked below so you can get all of my reading materials, including today's exercises and a bunch of other bass lines that you can use to practice your reading skills. Let's get right into it. Okay, let's start by learning our three new notes, just three notes today on the A string. So the staff, as we looked at last time, is made up of 5 lines and 4 spaces, and we can put dots on those lines or spaces, and where that dot is tells us what note to play. So when we have the bottom space on the staff, that's an A, and the exact A, because you got A's all over your bass, right? You got more than one. That A is your open A string. So that's bar 1. We have 4 open A's. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then in bar 2 we have B's. So that second to bottom line, not the bottom line, but the one just above that, that's going right through that note head. So that tells us that's a B. When you see that note in that location, you play a B. So we got 4 of them. Let's play 4 of them. That B, by the way, is going to be right here, 2nd fret on the A string. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that next note is a C, and that's going to be the second to the bottom space. So the space above the space where it's an A, that note is C, and the C is going to be 3rd fret on the A string. So we have 4 C's. Let's play those. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now we have a couple of half notes at the very end. We're going back to A's here, so we'll play those, hold them for 2 beats, and that's the end of our first line. So A, hold, and we're done. Okay, let's go ahead and play it through with the drums. Make sure you're hitting the right note at the right time. That's very important. I don't want you to just try to keep up with the beat and just be completely slaughtered by by the notes coming at you, not able to keep up with it. So if you can't keep up, that's to be expected. We're going to do a fast tempo to give you something to shoot for, but slow it down. Use YouTube to slow down the video and play it at your own speed, or just play it on your own without the drums and work up towards that. So here we go. Drums, please. So I want to go into just a little bit more detail about how the staff works. Again, it's 5 lines and 4 spaces, and each line or space is a note. And as we saw in the previous video, we can draw in ledger lines above or below the staff to add notes as needed. But what we haven't talked about is exactly how this works. Now, if you know one single note, let's just take A. It's great because it's the first letter in the alphabet. A, we know that is the bottom space, right? Well, whenever you move up to a new line or space, so if you're at a space, you move up to a line, that's the next letter in the alphabet. So this might be obvious, but if you haven't figured that out yet, or if it hasn't been explained to you, that's how the staff works. And so now theoretically, you should be able to count through, if you need to, and find any note on the staff just based on one location. So the bottom space is A, the next line is B, the next space is C, the middle line is going to be D, the next space is E, the next line is F, the top space is G, and at G, there's no H in music. At G, we start over at A. Again, it's going to be an A, an octave higher. And so that top line, that's going to be an A once again. Now we have a new rhythm we see here, hitherto unseen in this course on how to read music for bass. This is a whole note, so lasts for a whole measure of 4/4 time, or just generically, regardless of the time signature, it's going to last for 4 beats. So it takes up the whole measure, right? We hit the note at the beginning of the beat. We have an A here, so we're going to hit that A on beat 1, and then count for 2 and 3 and 4, and at the end of that 4th beat, it's done. So we say the value of the whole note is 4 beats, which is equal to its duration, just 2 words that mean pretty much the same thing. The whole note gets 4 beats, that's the value, and so we sustain that, give it a duration of 4 beats. Now, of course, we identify the whole note by its having an empty note head, just like the half note, but there's no vertical stem. And it's the only sort of regular rhythm that is going to not have a stem on it. So empty note head, no stem. We've got a whole note, people. Okay, let's walk through this counting as we go. We're going to hit the A on 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to hit B. 1, 2, hit B again. 3, 4. Then we're going to hit C for 4 on beat 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to hit B, hold it for 2 beats. 1, 2, hit A for 2 beats. 3, 4, stop the note. We're done. Let's bring in the drums and give it a shot. Now, we talked about last time about feeling half notes, about hitting that note on the beat and then still feeling the next beat as you're sustaining that note, as it's going through its 2-beat duration. Don't want you counting it so much as I want you feeling it. We can count it to understand it, to learn it, but at the end of the day, you should be feeling the music and not having to count it up here. I also said at the beginning of this video that we'd be getting into feeling rhythms on 2 different levels. This is one of them. So you have the beat, but in this case, the whole note is quite a lot of beats. I mean, it's 4. So I want you to get to a place where you can feel that whole measure. So if your beat is here, you're feeling 1, da, 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 da. So as I play, you should hopefully be able to sort of feel when that first beat of the measure is going to come about. You feel that. Now we're not feeling the beat, we're feeling the bar line. We can feel a whole bar going by without having to count it. And if you're not there yet, that's okay. You can count to get there, but know that you're moving towards a place where you're feeling the bar and not just keeping track of it numerically. And in this way, once again, it is a whole different level of rhythm that we're feeling. It's bigger than the beat, it's multiple beats, but you still want to feel that going by. In exercise 3, we have yet another new rhythm. So these are 1/8 notes. We know they're 1/8 notes because they have the solid note head and the vertical stem, just like the quarter note, but we're adding the beam, in this case across the top. Now these can be upside down, the stems can be pointed up or down, the beams can be on the top or the bottom, doesn't matter, but we see the solid note head, the vertical stem, and the beam connecting these, and that means we have multiple 1/8 notes. So we've got a set of 4, followed by another set of 4, so basically 8 1/8 notes in the bar. 8 1/8 notes, wow. That couldn't be a coincidence. Just so you know, we can also see flags as an alternative to the beam, and a flag is a little kind of curly thing like that. And doesn't matter why, we don't care why they're using beams or flags, we can get into that at some point, but we just need to know how to read it. And so if you see a flag at some point, that's also equally an 1/8 note. Now, the value of an 1/8 note, if you haven't guessed, is half of a beat. So a quarter note is 1 beat, right? Half note is 2 of those, and it's just like dividing up a pie, right? So if you got a quarter note, divide that in half, that's an 1/8 note, or 1/8 of a pie, and that's worth half of a beat. So you can also think of it as there being 2 1/8 notes within one beat. Now, how we're going to count that, remember, we can count as a learning mechanism, or to understand the rhythm, to feel the rhythm. So if you're counting quarter notes like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, you're going to count eighth notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. This is helpful in being able to give names to the beats. So let's just walk through this. So we have, it's all eighth notes, so we're just going to keep it this same pace here. We're going to go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. With C's, we're going to go down to a B now. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. A's, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Back to B's, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, let's put the drums on and see how it sounds. Okay, now that we've given that a shot, I want to look a little bit more into how we're going to deal with eighth notes. So the numbers that we're counting, 1, 2, 3, and 4, so those might be quarter notes. Those are called downbeats. So a number is a downbeat. Now the first beat of a measure is also called a downbeat of the measure. So this is just music terms. It gets kind of stupid and confusing. If you want to check out a video that I have on more about really getting into, what the downbeats are, you can watch that. I'll put that up here for you. But for now, we're going to distinguish the downbeats from the upbeats. And so the downbeats are numbers, and the upbeats is where we say and. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And you see my body. You see how I'm going down with the downbeat and up with the upbeat. The next step into playing the eighth notes is to, you guessed it, not count it, but feel the eighth notes. And so again, I can actually express that with my body. You can see me feeling the eighth note. And so you can tap your foot to do this, or you can bob your head. But in the same way that I want to feel the beats going by, I want to feel those half notes, I want to feel the duration of 4 beats. I also want to feel, this time getting inside the beat, I want to feel those eighth notes. So you can tell where the beat is, right? Can you hear the eighth notes? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, just from the way I'm moving. So you can count it if you need to, but work towards feeling those upbeats. Okay, now I'm giving you a little bit of a challenge. I'm asking you to switch rhythms. Switching rhythms can be deceptively difficult. If you're playing one easy rhythm and you go to the next easy rhythm, just switching between the two, we expect that to be a little bit of a challenge. You're gonna get past this challenge. You're gonna be good at that. But when you first try it, we just, we can expect it to be more challenging than it looks. So don't worry about it if you're having trouble keeping that beat and switching the rhythms. So let's just walk through this real quick. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. That's with A's. Now we're going to switch rhythms to the C's, quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now if it helps me, I can still say the and, so I can keep track of exactly where that rhythm is and how to compare it until I can get to the place where I can feel it happening. So maybe I'll go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Going to the next bar, we have eighth notes, B's, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. A's, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. I know I'm slowing down, speeding up a little bit. That's okay. This is what I call an elastic tempo, meaning the pace is actually changing a little bit. That's how I'm working through it for myself, so I can get myself to the place where I can play it at full tempo or even at a slower tempo, but steadily. So you work through it however you need to. Let's go ahead and try that with the drums. Now I want to let you in on the secret of why we have the eighth notes grouped in 4s, right? We got 4 eighth notes and we got 4 more eighth notes, and the beam at the top is broken, right? Why is that? Why don't we have just 8/8 notes and all beam together. Well, if you had that, it'd be a little bit harder to see. And theoretically, we write down music with certain rules so that it's just easier for the musician to read. So we call this middle section the imaginary bar line. And with about 87 different exceptions, we usually want to see beat 3 in a 4/4 measure. So you got beats 1 and 2, you can see those. You got beats 3 and 4, we can see those. And we see them by splitting a line down the middle. There should be nothing in the middle. Again, there's exceptions, like in the last video, we actually had the half note carrying over the double bar line. That's okay because it's a half note. We go, oh, that's fine, that's easy to play. But again, that's one of our 87 exceptions, only 86 to go. We want to see the imaginary bar line, and so we split those eighth notes up into 2 groups. Good news is we don't care why it's there. We just have to be able to read it. Only reason I'm sharing it with you is so, one, just to satisfy the curiosity if it's there, but also so as we get into more complex rhythms, when you look at the page and you see that break in the middle of the bar, you know why that's there, and it's going to help you immediately see where beat 3 is. Right now, probably not a big deal, but as we get into more complex rhythms, this will be increasingly necessary for us to handle what's coming at us. Okay, pushing forward, we have 2 rhythms per bar in this next exercise, and even 3 rhythms throughout the entire 4-bar line. Looks easy, might be easy, I hope it is. If it's not, that's okay, slow it down, focus on where your beat is, focus on where the upbeats and the downbeats are, and try to feel it, and go from there. Let's go ahead and just walk through it. So we have 2 C's to start off, 2 quarter notes, 1, 2, B's 3 and 4, and C's 1, 2, A's 3 and 4, and B's 1, 2, C's 3 and 4, and A, C, hold for beat 4, and we're out. Not too bad. Take your time, and when you're ready, let's put the drums on. So, not to belabor the point, but I want to introduce the concept that I call maintaining your feel. And by maintaining your feel, you're going to be able to switch between these rhythms, hopefully a little bit easier. You grab the beat, you focus on it, and I was counting it before, but again, we want to feel this. Boom, 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 boom. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and. So, if you're slipping and sliding a little bit in the rhythm, focus on maintaining that feel. Maintain that beat in here. Know where the downbeat is. Know where the upbeat is. Feel it physically, and then produce it on your bass. Okay, in this next one, we have some new groupings of rhythms. So we had 8/8 notes first in a bar, and we learned to just sort of chug the 8th notes, right? Gung, 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 gung. And then we saw us switching between maybe, a bar of 8th notes and a bar of quarters, or, 2 quarters and 4 8th notes, 2 beats of quarters, 2 beats of 8th notes. And now we're chopping them up a little bit more. We're sort of switching back and forth a little bit faster, grouping them a little bit differently. So again, a little bit of a challenge for us maybe. And we're going to go ahead and tackle that and get better at it and move forward. So let's just walk through this real quick. Let's just see how this feels. I'll count the ands as we go. So starting with A's, we've got 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And notice my head. Notice how I'm feeling these beats and these upbeats and downbeats. B's, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And C, 1 and 2. And moving to B, 3 and 4. And down to A, 1 and 2 and 3, 4. We're out. Cue the drums. Now, the skill that we're going to want to bring on board for this exercise, and really increasingly moving forward as your reading challenges become more and more difficult is reading ahead. You want to look ahead of where you're at. You actually look at your note as you're playing that note. You should be looking at the next beat or even two or further down the line. And that actually buys you sometimes just enough time that makes a difference between, being able to accomplish reading the line and not being able to accomplish reading the line. So look at what you're looking at, play what you're playing, but then try to read ahead of where you're actually at. Now we're going to mix it up just a little bit more. New groupings, a little bit more randomized groupings of both notes and rhythms. Just testing your boundaries, pushing you forward. Let's just walk through it real quick and then we'll put the drums on and we'll have a go at it. Starting with our C here, we've got 2 quarter notes. In fact, you know what? I'm not going to count it all. I'm just going to feel these. So I've got C, B, A's, B. Reading ahead, I see some C's, 8th notes. C, B, A, B's. C, A, B, B, A. A lot of 8th notes coming up. C's, B's, A. Hold for 4. We're done. Cue the drums. We talked a little bit about the numbers of the beats that we're playing before. We talked about the ands, counting 1 and 2 and. So I just want to be clear that as we can number the downbeats, beat 1, beat 2, beat 3, beat 4, we can also number the upbeats. And so if we have a pair of 8th notes, that first 8th note is 1, that happens at the downbeat. And the next 8th note is the and on the upbeat. We call that the and of 1. So we wouldn't call it 1 and. So, what beat is that on? It's on 3 and. You would actually say it's on the and of 3. That's what we're going to call that. We're going to say 1, and of 1, 2, and of 2. So as we play more complex rhythms, it's going to be useful to be able to name those and think about them. Say, oh, I got to come in on the and of 3, or I have to do, I got to work on coming in on this beat or whatever it is. So there it is, 1 and 2 and, saying the and of for our upbeats. Next exercise, again, just pushing us forward, a little bit more challenges, switching up rhythms, switching up notes a little bit more. Let's walk through it, and then we'll put the drums on and give it a go. So here we go. Starting with a B, 2 whole note, so holding it for 2 beats. 1, 2, an A for beat 3, and then I have a B for beat 4, the and of 4, and then downbeat is C, 8th notes, right? Now into our quarter note. B, A, C, hold, B, A, B, 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 hold, we're done, drums. I want to pause for a minute to start to actually memorize these notes on the staff. So last lesson we had 3 notes. This lesson we have 3 notes. Next lesson we're going to have 3 notes. Lesson 4 we're actually going to have 4 new notes. So as we start, it's pretty easy to know what note you're playing because you've just got a couple notes that you're working with. But as you collect more and more notes, it's going to become harder and harder to kind of know where you need to be at. So let's start just a real easy technique of learning to memorize your notes. And there's all kinds of mnemonics and stuff like that. I'm not going to use that stuff. You probably either know that stuff or you've seen it, or you can look it up if you want to. Here's what I want to do. I want to memorize where my open strings are. They actually land in pretty cool places. The low E is our lowest ledger line. Remember, that's that line that we draw below the staff, and that's the lowest note in the bass. And if we include that ledger line, it's the lowest note on the staff, or the lowest note, including the first ledger line. Anyways, that's my low E. When you see that line below the staff, all day long, all week long, even on Tuesdays, that's an E. Where's your next open string, your A? We've been playing it a lot today, so hopefully you know it's the bottom space. So I want you to think of these as anchors. You see that open E, boom, you got that. You see that bottom space, boom, that's an A. Now, if you forget where what note the line above that is, you go, well, that's an A, that's a B, and so you can count out from these open strings, from these known locations. So as we move forward in future videos, we're going to memorize the other open strings as well. Today, keeping it simple, we've got the E at that bottom ledger line and the A at the bottom space. So log that in your brain, and then you get to keep it, and you'll always know where those notes are. Exercise 9, the final challenge. Just bringing it all out, but really I'm just going to throw rhythms and notes at you. I'm going to see what you can do. I'm not going to talk through this one. I'm not going to say anything. I will play through it slowly. I want you to go with me and see how you can do. And then we'll put the drums on and we'll play through it real fast. So I'll count us in. 1, 2, nice and slow. 3, 4. Okay, let's crank up the tempo and try it one more time. Okay, that's 9 more exercises in the bag or in the base or whatever. Anyways, well done. Be sure to reach out to me at stepbystepmusic.com if you want to work with me personally, or even if you want to just book some free time with me and ask me some questions about reading music. Keep your practicing up, keep your reading skills up, and check out the videos that are up here to help you on your journey. I'll see you next time. So log that. Ow, that was dumb.